Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe, and I'm a weapon of mass instruction. And tonight's episode isn't really delving too much deeper into the rabbit hole, as it were. It's more of just a rant, because I just got a reply from, must have been a week ago. I left a comment about the, I think it was the Seattle shootout, and some bitch-ass motherfucker wanted to whine and complain because we have too many fucking gun rights. Really? So I fucking let him have it. I just blasted him because this stupid motherfucker couldn't get it through his skull where I was coming from. And he was just parroting what fucking government wanted him to say and fucking not thinking for himself. And the fact of the matter is, there are criminals out there. Now, this isn't just to scare you. It's statistics. Crime will never go away. Ever. It's always going to be there. There will always be theft. There will always be fucking rape, assault, murder, fucking carjacking, fucking, embezzlement, lying in court, all this bad shit. It's always going to be there. Why is that? Because there's bad people. That's the fact of the matter. I don't care what they say in fucking Sunday school, that there's no bad people, they're all influenced by the devil, blah, blah, blah. You know what? There's bad in all of us. We always are confronted with moral decisions to make. And you know what? I'm not going to go out there and say that kids that live in the ghetto are bad people. No. A lot of them grow up in a bad situation, and a lot of them don't find a way out of it. And it makes it a lot easier to turn to a life of crime. And you know what? No matter where you go in the United States or elsewhere in the world, you're going to run some sort of risk that you're going to be the victim of a crime. The only way to avoid that is to lock the doors in your house and never go out. And even then, somebody might break in. And this fucking, I don't know who he was, who she was, whatever, was basically arguing for more gun restrictions, more gun bans in the United States. First off, criminals are not going to obtain their guns through legal channels. They're not going to follow the law. Why? Because if I was a criminal and I was going to shoot somebody with a gun, I would not want to shoot somebody with a gun that was registered to me. Okay? And when you see something like that happen, either A, that's a really fucking stupid criminal, or B, it was not a premeditated crime. It happened either on the spur of the moment or the guy went crazy, which can happen to people too. It's just mind-boggling that people cannot fucking grasp that simple concept. Criminals that want to be successful at crime and murder and whatever they want to do are not going to obtain their equipment the legal way. Just like when the government is running black ops, the guys that are doing the black ops obtain their weapons in country, or they obtain them in a way that does not connect their weapons with the government of the United States. That's the whole purpose of black ops, okay? That's a totally different thing, but it's the same fucking principle. If the guy gets caught, he doesn't want the guns to be traced to whoever's paying him, all right? Vice versa, if I shot somebody and it was a criminal act, I wouldn't want the trace to run back to my gun. Simple as that, okay? So now that we've gotten over that little hurdle, all right, the concept that bad guys are going to buy stuff illegally or steal stuff or, obtain their weapons no matter what through less than legal means, okay? Now, there are two options to deal with that. One, which is basically, in essence, what this guy was wanting to go for, is to have the government take away all of our guns. Problem solved, right? Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Go back to the problem. The problem is the bad guys are still going to obtain their guns. You can quote crime rates in the United Kingdom all you want, okay? But the United Kingdom is it's literally an island, okay? I don't have specific statistics on landmass and population in my head, but I guarantee you it's far easier for the United Kingdom to police their citizens, from a federal level to a local level than it is for the United States to police their citizens. Furthermore, the United Kingdom and other nations like them didn't win their independence through the use of firearms. All right? The United States of America, the only reason why we're a country today is because our forefathers, supported our rights to freedom and liberty. And part of that, whether you fucking pinko, left-wing fucking sheep, dick suckers want to agree with it or not, part of that involves every citizen had a gun. Why? So that they could defend against the British, against bandits when the fucking police that were put in place by the Brits weren't doing their jobs. Okay? Against Native American raids. Because again, the British were not policing the colonies the way they were supposed to. They were more interested in harassing the colonists than defending the colony borders against incursions from Native Americans. Now, I am also on the Native American side here because we kind of did, take over their country a little bit. It's not an outdated idea here. The idea holds true today. And it is more pertinent today than it ever was in the history of the United States. Ever since we got on our feet, on our own 2 feet, and became able to defend our borders and actually raise a no-shit army, all right, it kind of got put on the back burner for a bit. At one point, a law was issued. I believe it might have been an executive order, but I'm pretty sure George Washington did it the legit way and put it through Congress. When our nation was still in its first days, when there was this overwhelming risk of a British or other nation counterattack against the United States, they mandated that any U.S. citizen who did not already own a firearm must own a firearm. That's right. You could get thrown in jail for not owning a firearm. That law is still on the books, if I'm not mistaken. There are some towns in the United States that have updated it and kept on mandating that every household has at least one firearm in order to defend themselves. Okay, and here's another bloody awful truth. Police are not a preventative force. Okay? In a perfect world, if a patrolman is driving down the street and he happens to see a crime in the middle of commission, he can stop it. Awesome. Problem solved. If he's lucky, he gets there soon enough and nobody dies that day. Nobody gets raped. Nobody gets robbed. Nobody gets beaten. Nobody gets fucking, their shit stolen. Whatever. But the fact of the matter is, the police are and always have been primarily a reactive force. Okay? If you think for a second that calling 911 is going to be the end-all, be-all of solving any fucking problem that's going on in your life, and that you don't need any other means of protection other than the phone call, then I'm sorry, you probably deserve whatever's coming at you the moment you make that phone call. I'll be perfectly honest here. If somebody breaks into my house, I'm going to defend my house and my life personally first before I even think of touching my cell phone, because that's going to be the last thing on my mind. Not, help me, somebody's at the door trying to break in. It's going to be fucking make sure my gun is ready, locked and loaded, weapon off of safe, and I'm aiming at the fucking bad guy. So if he hasn't gotten the picture yet that there's a gun pointed at him and he does come through that door, he's getting one in the face. Why? Because there's no fucking way that the cops are going to be there in time. No fucking way. And that's the reality in most of these cases. I'm so fucking heated up now. I really am. Because this really fucking pisses me off. I'm not just some fucking redneck speaking my mind, alright? I served in the Marine Corps. I know what it's like to have a gun on you by your side day in and day out for months on end, to the point where that feels normal. And when you come back to the real world, quote unquote, and you don't have your rifle slung over your shoulder, and you wake up in the morning and it's just a normal wake up, like not even PTSD or anything crazy like that, just a normal wake up, and you slap your side and, where the fuck is my rifle? That was the first reaction I had for months and months and months after that. And you know what? That really ought to be the first reaction out of anybody waking up in the morning. Check and make sure your guns are still there, that somehow somebody didn't rob you in your sleep and left you alone, I constantly, throughout the day, whenever I carry with me, which is almost all the time, constantly, innocuously, put my hands in my pockets. I'm making sure that my gun is still there, checking my pockets, making sure everything's still there. I mean, obviously, it'd be pretty hard to take away my gun from me while it's in my pocket, but still, that instinctive, okay, making sure everything is good to go. That should be there for everybody. Not, I don't feel like I should own a gun. I'm not going to buy a gun to defend myself. I'm not going to, exercise my rights as a U.S. citizen. Like I'm exercising my rights right now to free speech, to gun ownership, to all of that. My freedom of religion. All of that. Refuse to have your rights trampled on. But this kid from fucking Seattle, or wherever he is, I don't know how old he is. Instead of like thinking about that first and foremost, about legally obtaining a firearm in order to defend himself, because he's talking about how he's lost the right to walk down the street without fearing for his life. Well, you know what? If you are fearing for your life every time you walk down the street, either A, move, relocate your fucking place of residence, or two, fucking buy a firearm, so that when you walk down the street, if something crazy happens, you can defend yourself. And not hopefully call 911 in time for the fucking cops to go from the station or wherever the patrol route is to wherever you are, figure out what the problem is and defend you for you. Ask any local cop. I bet you they'll wholeheartedly agree. Ask your county sheriff. He'll probably wholeheartedly agree. Ask your state troopers that are, driving or walking the beat all the time. Not the fucking desk jockeys. The ones that, remember what it's like being out in the field and dealing with anything from petty complaints all the way up into including a murder investigation or missing persons report. And I bet you they will tell you that 9 times out of 10, whatever violent crime happened could have been avoided if the fucking victim had been carrying a weapon and was able to properly defend themselves. Most of you who are my regular viewers, I guarantee most of you already own guns. That's just pretty much the way we are at this point. And I highly recommend, if you don't own any firearms yet, buy one. If you're able to carry in your state, again, find something that you could carry with you, day in and day out. I heard this term used a while back, super carry, like my little fucking Bursa pistol here. Alright? My super carry. This gun does not leave my side. The only time I ever take it out of my pocket is A, I'm at my daughter's school, because I'm not legally allowed to carry in there. B, I'm at the bank, because I don't believe I'm legally allowed to carry there. Any other time, it's on me. When I'm in my house, it's on me. Most of my pajamas have pockets so I could carry my pistol in it. It's on me. It weighs maybe 2 pounds. You get used to that pretty quick. If you're in a state where you can't carry very easily, like Jersey or New York or other fucking fascist states like that, You know, if Herr Bloomberg is telling you you can't defend yourself, well, you can still get yourself something for in-the-home security. You know, a good quality pump-action shotgun. It doesn't have to be something crazy like the latest fucking, you know, Benelli or Beretta that costs like $2,000, and you're totally afraid to pick it up and use it because you don't want to scratch the finish. You know, this Mossberg cost me $500 even. You know, and it came with 2 side saddles. It came with the tri-rail. It actually came with a forward grip, which I attached to my rifle instead. You know, it came with the collapsing stock. It came with all of this stuff to make it more versatile in a home defense or any other situation. And it's not too expensive. You know, it's durable. It doesn't rust very easy. You know, it's low maintenance. Freaking my buddy who's training to be a gunsmith, he basically all but let me know that, you know, unless I really, really, really wanted to break it down and figure out exactly how it ticks, like when it comes to cleaning, all I really need to do is empty the shells, you know, maybe take out the feed tube and freaking spray it down with oil, scrub it up, you know, fucking hose it back down with air, give it more oil, lube it up, and I'm good. And it's all it is. You don't even have to get to 12 gauge. 20 gauges will do almost as much damage very easily with not as much recoil. Hell, 410 even. You know, 16 gauge, 28 gauge, there's all sorts of different shotguns, all sorts of different pistols. Most of it is absolutely legal to have with you in your home. Why not? Why the fuck would you not when you have the option available to you? Oh, well, I don't think I'll ever get broken into. Bullshit! It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Given a long enough timeline, any possibility will become an eventuality. Alright? Given a long enough timeline, your life expectancy will drop to 0. Took that quote from fucking Fight Club. And it's the God honest truth. You know? And don't give me some of that shit like, oh, I don't want to end up like fucking Zimmerman on trial for fucking race crimes. You know what? Better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. I said that before. I'll say it again. You know? When push comes to shove, if I feel my life is threatened, I will draw if I feel that is necessary. Okay? If I'm facing off against a guy who's threatening me and he's fucking 7'6" and he's fucking jacked like, you know, Mike Tyson, and he's saying he's going to rip my skull off, yeah, I'm going to draw and I'm probably going to shoot him in the fucking face. You know? If I get attacked, if I'm on the ground and I've got no other way to defend myself, but the guy didn't realize I had a pistol in my pocket, yeah, I'll draw and I'll shoot. And I'm not going to shoot to wound. I'm not going to shoot to scare him away. That's not why you would buy a gun, okay? Face facts. Guns are designed so that people can kill people very easily. Yes, it's true. All right? Get this sporting firearm crap out of your head. And it's not a fucking bad thing. Okay, well, killing people is kind of possibly immoral depending on why you do it. But, you know, in the court of law, they have justifiable homicide, which means you killed somebody in self-defense when you were being presented with lethal force, and there was no other option to take other than to shoot. You know? Or even as simple as if you legitimately feel your life is threatened. You know? People blow shit way the fuck out of proportion. The guy in Seattle who fucking drew pistols and fucking shot like 4 or 5 people, why was nobody carrying in the cafe, huh? Is Washington a gun Nazi state? Is it a fascist state where nobody could carry and defend themselves? That might be the reason why he was able to get away with so many deaths before he actually aced himself. Why was it that individual was able to get a hold of pistols? Was there not a proper background check placed on him? I'm pretty sure that part of the background check is supposed to entail a freaking mental check as well. As in, if you've got any sort of a background of freaking, mental issues, that should come to light. And people would want to argue, well, I don't have a problem with, gun ownership as long as there's some sort of psych evaluation to make sure you're not crazy. Well, you know what? Guess who designs the psych eval? The government. Guess who's been fighting to try to take away our gun rights for longer than any of us can remember? The government. Can anybody figure out why yet? Huh? Because it would be far easier for them to maintain control over every aspect of our lives if we don't have guns. Above and beyond your own personal reasons for self-defense, whether you're afraid of walking down the street or if you want it just in case, the number one reason why we were given the Second Amendment rights was so that government could not control us the way we saw people being controlled in Nazi Germany, the way we saw people being controlled in Soviet Russia, in all these fucking African countries where there's, one day you're living in an absolute anarchy, the next day all sorts of fucking tanks and armies are rolling through your fucking town, raping and pillaging, and doing all sorts of bad shit in the name of freedom. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. This has been proven time and time and time again. And in the 21st century, when next week we have no idea what kind of weapons the government will come out with in order to properly arm its troops for fourth generational warfare. The last thing that we need as citizens of the United States is for troops of another nation to invade, or for our own government to decide that they need to take away the rest of our rights for our own safety. Okay? And even if you're watching this and you haven't already been following Agenda 21, chemtrails, depopulation, and all that, all the stuff that you sheep out there, who I guarantee at least one or two of you are going to watch this, no offense, that's our term for you, because that's pretty much what all of us were before we woke up. And it's time for the rest of you to start waking up too. That is the number one reason why we should never, ever, ever give up our fucking Bill of Rights. Our Constitution. Ever. Because those in power are naturally going to want more of it. Because it's addictive. Just like drugs are addictive. And gambling is addictive. And alcohol is addictive. Can be. It depends on your genetic makeup. But guess what? The people in power, their genes tell them that they want more power. Their disease tells them that they need more power. That's the fact of the matter. And when it comes to an addiction, sometimes the best help somebody can get is to have a rude awakening. That's all I got for you now. Peace.